A blind knight that uses echolocation, viewing the dark, treacherous world through sound. Trapped in a dungeon keep, endangered by combatants, where hazards lurk around every corner. Make sound to have vision, or don't and be stealthy. Avoid impaling threats throughout the dungeon to escape. Engage with other prisoners.
Rogue Knight I've been hearing about. Could you find the key and unlock myself?
Free them to fight back with more allies.
Let's take this guy.
The dungeon labyrinth has many paths and even more traps. Struggle through the darkness to find your freedom.
When Alex became a god, he thought he would have no problems at all. Until... he landed in the Divine Dimension and was tasked with protecting the entire multiverse.
Am I connected to every single Alex Ambrose that ever existed?
Alex could travel across dimensions, defying the laws of time and space, to help other Alexes throughout the multiverse. But then everything changed.
No! Aw!
I have to go back and save them.
But if Alex went back to the mortal world, he would relinquish all of his power and his memories.
I don't have a choice. I must go back.
When Alex returned back to Earth, he goes back to being your average business tycoon millionaire, unaware that the people he cared most about are in danger.
Someone help me!
Yvonne, what happened?
I was attacked by a monster. Alex? What's going on? Get away from him! He is my boyfriend!
Who attacked Yvonne in the forest? What will Debbie do next? Who will Alex choose between the two women? Will Alex ever remember who he was before traveling into a different multiverse? To hear what happens next and whether Alex can stop the deranged monster before he strikes again, listen to the original audio drama, Insta Millionaire Returns, only on Pocket FM. Download the app now and find out.
Presentation.
Welcome in to tonight's coverage. It's round number 2 of season number 1 of 2025 for the Maximum Velocity CNC Home Designs Truck Series. It's time for some more of the same from last week, more super speedway kind of action tonight from the 2022 version, and really it's the 2025 version of Atlanta Motor Speedway. Welcome into round 2 coverage. Of course, it's Tommy Cook, as always, with you here on a Thursday night. But want to welcome in my partner once again for the rest of the season, Mr. Joshua Motichek. Partner, we saw quite the race last week at Daytona. Very entertaining, very exhilarating, very frustrating for a number of drivers who I would imagine are going to have the exact same feelings about tonight that they had last week.
Yeah, definitely. Super speedway racing is one of those that takes a lot of skill, but you also gotta sprinkle in a little bit of luck on top, and I think Atlanta's no different here. I know that a lot of the drivers that stayed up front last week are going to be vying for the front again here, but I definitely think that we could see a shakeup here tonight.
We definitely could, and we definitely saw a shakeup last week. There's no doubt about that. Let's take a look at the point standings after Daytona. We talked about a lot of the new blood, the fresh meat, if you will, at Daytona, but the fresh meat were not the ones that were killed last week, that's for sure. They are very heavily influencing the points look here after just one round of competition complete.
Yeah, definitely. Taking the points lead right off the rip, Jordan Neese, he was throwing some mega pushes and doing all he could to stay at the front for the whole race. And I think we're going to see him do the same tonight, and it could put him in a very, very good position right off the start of race 2.
I'm sure Jordan is looking forward to getting back after it tonight. Connell Bolton, very, very close to stealing a win in his first start, like the driver in P5 did. That's Billy Bumgardner. He took the win, but of course there are stage points in the mix there as well, some extra bonus points on the line, so that is what puts Jordan Neese up into the top 5, or rather atop the standings. With 15 rounds in the regular season, there will be a 5-race chase to close out season number 1, and it'll be the top 12 in drivers in points with the re-rack, all the way down to Will Kirk right there, +2 over Wally Turheimer. And you're looking for some of the familiar names from Max V on this list. They're not here. Rough week for Justin Michael, rough week for Scott Patton, but although Scott Patton is on this graphic, albeit just on the outside looking in, James Lehman barely in. James Lehman flipped that truck over. You see it in the thumbnail of our video. Still got a top 10 finish out of it. It still was not the night he was looking for. But now we head into Atlanta Motor Speedway. Again, this is the new version of Atlanta, the super speedway style of track here. And this is truly the most exciting elements of a mile and a half and the most exciting elements of a super speedway all rolled into one. But some extra wrinkles here tonight because there is a grip update to this track surface, and the pit lane is a little bit different here as well. Not sure how much experience you have out on the 22 version of Atlanta Motor Speedway, but it is certainly a wonky experience to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. I don't have much experience at Atlanta to begin with, whether it be the old or the new. That being said, it's definitely an interesting track. As the temperature fluctuates, this track changes a lot, and we could see grip fall off pretty quick, or it could hang on, and we could have a pretty racy track at the end of the night.
Well, the weather is going to play a factor into this as well, and as of now, towards the end of qualifying, you could see it there. That's 112 degrees on the track temperature. It is hot here on this May 15th. Compare that to a 77-degree ambient temperature. And these drivers are going to be in for it today. Like you said, grip is going to be at a premium, and so is starting position and track position in general. And the driver that gets the best news of all as we roll on to tonight's starting grid, that is going to be Rob Haynes, I do believe, as he will take the pole position tonight for 98 laps at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It will be Mark Jackson, one of the standouts, newcomers to the series from last week, starting to his outside. Matt Montembolt is here. He was not here last week. He's back in the lineup here tonight, a chaser from last season. Christopher Howell, needing to bounce back after last week, will start in P4. Connell Bolton finished runner-up in that photo finish last week. And Jordan Neese, your points leader. That is a power duo on row number 3. Will Kirk and Justin Michael on row number 4, and Jacob Gibson. Mike Milfeld won here back in 2024 to punch his ticket into the next round of the playoffs. He will look for another victory here tonight, starting from 10th. Riley Tilton in 11th, Charlie Widener in 12th, Scott Patton, Wally Turheimer, 2 super speedway powerhouses there on row number 7. It is Cody Gibson and James Lehman on row number 8, Kerry Cleaver, Chris Sargent, Matt Sisler, and Kyle Manos back in the lineup here tonight, starting in 20th. Rest of the starting lineup is going to scroll on by. We've got 37 drivers that are going to get after it here tonight at the new version of Atlanta Motor Speedway. Welcome in everybody that's hanging out with us. Shout out to Bailey Marie. I don't think she's calling me honey. I would imagine that's probably directed at you. Marilyn Beck and Michelle Kirk, as always, cheering on Will. And Dina Kolbach tonight, cheering on Wally Turheimer. These trucks get ready to roll off of pit road. What are these drivers going to be watching for here today in what could be a very short race today at Atlanta Motor Speedway?
Yeah, definitely. We're looking at pretty similar last week. 3 extra sets of tires, which I hear is going to be pretty important. Some word from feedback from the drivers is tire wear falls off pretty quickly. so far. So no fast repairs, so keep the trucks clean. We will have no incident limits. 70% fuel, just like last week, so that should put the pit window between lap 36 and 40 or so. So we may see some drivers pushing that to the very end of the fuel. 98 laps is the full distance of this race, with the stage break being at the end of lap 25. Now, one important thing to note about tonight is that red and yellow line, or red and white line there at the bottom. The drivers will not be allowed to cross underneath that line at any point. So that's going to definitely be interesting as we race around the front stretch here, and it's a little bit more square than most D-oval tracks are, so keep an eye on that.
Got the quad oval configuration up at the front of the track, and you're right. It's so tempting just to dip your left side tires underneath that, try and get some grip, even get some grip off of the paint on the line itself. Like we said, grip is going to be at a premium here today. But you got to resist that temptation and keep yourself in contention to win this race. We like to talk about three-wide racing at the super speedways. Boy, in conditions like this and a hot day here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, three-wide, not out of the question, but certainly inadvisable to say the least, unless you really are trying to be the hero of the day. Pace truck is off. It is the Canadian Rob Haynes, a winner at Talladega in 2024, and Mark Jackson, who spent a lot of time up front last week at Daytona, leading the field to green at Atlanta.
Great start from this bottom line. Rob Haynes will get out to an early lead.
And it's good to be in control as often as you possibly can here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. In the past, Max V has averaged 3 cautions per race. At this new configuration, 24 lead changes on average amongst 8 different drivers. That is not a whole lot of lead changes for a super speedway race.
Definitely not. I think track position matters more here than any other super speedway, just because it is that little bit shorter.
So Haynes will lead the opener. The outside pole sitter there, Mark Jackson, is on the outside of the 21 of Matt Montalbald, who's back in the lineup tonight after missing Daytona last week.
Off to a pretty calm start here. Rob Haynes still holds control of the lead.
Yeah, calm start's not always a guarantee here. As you can see back towards the tail of this front pack, there's the 23 of Ryan McRoberts. He's back in 22nd, and this field is a lot more broken up once you get from 23rd on back. But again, we're chasing the stage caution here at lap 24. No reason to push the issue all that much if you're further back. Outside is starting to dig a little bit here. Mark Jackson pulling even now with Haynes, who's led them all thus far.
Yeah, like I had mentioned earlier, some pretty good pushers in this outside line with Nice and Justin Michael there in the third and fourth row on the top. And Milfeld.
We got some Will Kirk fans here. Let's ride on board with driver number 9 and show you what he sees. Always nerve-wracking when you get to the super speedways here. Visibility when you're tucked in line like this, 3 or 4 trucks back, it is very limited. Look at these trucks squirming around, and these are on fresh tires.
Yeah, definitely. Aero plays such a big part on super speedways. It really can make or break your race if you have just a little bit of aero damage. It can put you back more than you would want.
And there's Mark Jackson, you see right there to the right side of the screen, fading backwards, and now jumping up ahead of him. That is the 21 of Matt Montalbald. Cut back out to the wide shot. Maybe a bit too wide there. But they are too wide at the front of the field.
Oh, and Nice is into the front stretch wall a little bit there.
Yeah, he definitely caught it.
this top line up a little bit.
We saw this the last time the Venom Truck Series was here. Some of your running buddies over at ICR, Insert Coin Racing, they were able to get themselves to the front of this field and hold the fort rather, from the top line, which is not something you see a lot in the trucks on the super speedways. It's certainly possible here, and it may be what Matt Montalbot was looking to do there with the move out of the bottom.
Yeah, definitely. Having control of the field is such a huge advantage for your whole race. It really can let you control when pit cycle starts, and really just the whole start.
Ooh, bit jumbled up on the top side. Oh, and that's a big shunt into the 58 of Riley Tilton. Nice is up into the wall. They scatter. We're still green as everybody is trying to save it. That was fantastic work by James Lehman and everybody else that was around that 50 truck, not to just make that an absolute melee. But big problems for the 12 of Jordan Nice. And a handful of others. And that is going to break things up here at the front of the field. Now it's Connell Bolton right back to running in second, although Will Kirk now is going to surge ahead on the bottom on the tailgate of the 199 of Haynes.
Bolton was a little squirmy up top.
May regret this, but we're going to try and go for one look at what just happened there. You see the 12 of Nice moving down into the 58 of Riley Tilton. They're both loose. They're both in the wall, and that is fantastic stuff from everybody around them to not make that any worse. And we'll cut right back to line action. Didn't miss a thing.
Yeah, this front pack is kind of settling back in after that quick shakeup.
How long does it take for you to get back out of your mental as well? There goes Bolton wiggling up the track off the front bumper of Mark Jackson. How long does it take to sort of calm yourself down after a near miss like that in the pack?
It depends on the driver, really. Sometimes it can take a couple laps. Sometimes it's as Bolton is he's pounding the wall.
He's in for it. They'll lose some momentum and string this pack maybe back together. That's Charlie Widener and Scott Patton, James Lehman, Jordan Nice, and Matt Sisseler all right there together.
Yeah, if anybody's going to bring this pack together, again, it's going to be those couple at the front of that second group.
I'll show you what Scott Patton is seeing. The work he's got to do to get Bolton back up to this lead pack. This is Patton running in 10th. So the top 8 had broken away there after a couple of scuffles.
They're making
still getting awfully loose there in front of them.
To the top.
Boy, I'm with you. There is not much grip to be had out there right now. These drivers are struggling.
Yeah, I definitely think that tire fall off is going to be a huge thing to watch as we get to the end of the stint.
And we don't really talk about it all that much when we talk about super speedway racing, but we did have that at the Venom Truck Series earlier this season at their season opener at Daytona. It went green the whole way. Nobody was able to change any tires. And by the end of it, I mean, everybody was slipping and sliding all around. But we didn't even make it 85 laps in this one. We made it 15, and these guys are all over the place. This is Justin Michael. Oh, up into the wall, and he takes Mike Milfeld up there with him. 155 will stay up and out of the way as much as possible. I don't know how Michael, it didn't even look like he lost any momentum, but he just hammered the wall there.
Yeah, Michael Milfeld's going to get the raw end of the stick on that one, unfortunately. Put him back towards the back of this mid-pack.
So, again, it's Mark Jackson now on the outside. And still Rob Haynes controlling the bottom. 10 make it 9 to go at the line left in the stage. And that will be a welcome reprieve, I'm sure, for pretty much everybody not named Rob Haynes. Lamar Jackson is able to clear down, and that was some horrendous net code that is going to send the 21 of Matt Montalbald around. That looked like they had 5 feet between them. We're still green. It's not good when you can see the net code on the live shot. Usually we have to pick that off of the replay, but that was terrible.
Yeah, we had some pretty bad netcode on Tuesday night in the Venom Truck Series as well.
So Mark Jackson now going to get ganged up on is Justin Michael. Will again rally back from a little contact there and push the 199 back to the front of this field. Will Kirk staying up top there with the 87 as well.
Nice is into the wall down the backstretch, and he's going to spin in front of the field.
Oh, Wally Turheimer absolutely tears the wall down. They are still piling in. Greg Maul with damage. Oh, and they are still coming in. Goodness gracious. Zachary Groover there in the 27. Big damage for him. Big damage for Kerry Cleaver. Good Lord. Those were some hard shots.
Johnny Hamby going to be involved as well.
There's Bobby Sales, who didn't get to turn a lap last week at Daytona. Montalbalt and Turheimer already towing back to the pits. Other drivers going to make their way in. There's Johnny Hamby. This race did him in last season, and it may have just done him in again. Under caution ahead of the stage on lap number 19, as we'll try and search for the replay here. Goodness gracious. And like you said, it all starts with Jordan Neese. He's already up into the wall there on the replay. In there once, in there twice, down the track. Again, that just doesn't look like they actually make any contact.
No, it does not.
There is 2 or 3 feet between them, but Turheimer, man, that truck is destroyed. Rod Mitten with a shot. Cleaver, Hamby. It looked like the 052 of Brad Slagle, who was very good in this race last season as well. Yes, he gets some damage. We'll show you the front half of this accident, or the part of the accident that's going to be further up the track. We'll go in search of the 75 of Turheimer, who absolutely, man, that is an incredibly hard shot. And we're going to back it up one more time and give you the 27 of Zachary Groover. Into his teammate, Mick Roberts. Rod Mitten turns the 27 up into the wall. There's Cleaver piling in, Johnny Hamby. So a number of drivers with some significant damage here. And you want to talk about hero to zero in a matter of seconds. Let's go kickpot cam here with our good buddy Wally Turheimer. At full speed. Had it missed. Really did have it missed, because he did not get contacted, but the sim had other plans. And the Dutch Bros 75 is done. Not a doubt in my mind.
Yeah, there were some really hard hits in that incident.
This 69 of Kerry Cleaver has seen better days, that's for sure. This truck is ailing, to say the least, but he is still leaving pit road. We are doubled up, so we're going to get a dash to the stage here. And I know we just had this discussion off air. You're going to have to remind me. Stage of 24 or 25?
Stage of 25.
Okay.
Completion of lap 25.
Perfect. Thank you. So, this is, I think, a 4-lap dash to get her done. And if we make it that far, I may be a little surprised. Although this may have calmed things down a little bit.
I think we're going to see some pretty aggressive racing up here up front coming to the stage.
10 points for a stage win on the line. Rob Haynes has led most of this race. Justin Michaels made some great moves to get himself up here. He's up 6 from where he started. Row 2 is Will Kirk and Jacob Gibson, Mark Jackson, Christopher Howell, Connell Bolton, Scott Patton, Charlie Widener, Matt Sisler, the rest of the top 10. Jason, lap 25 for caution number 2. We are green. As these tires continue to wear and we have more and more restarts, they're going to continue to be pretty tricky. That was not the greatest restart of all time, but at least we're not crashing yet. Single file most of the way around the bottom.
Scott Patton gonna pull this top line back together.
I'm sure Will Kirk would love the assistance. He and Jacob Gibson working together up top. Oh, and you see how loose Kirk is there on the chopper cam. Man.
It's not very often I'm glad I'm in the booth instead of in the driver's seat.
Look at this mess further back. They were 3 wide there for just a second. These drivers are struggling enough to go 2 wide here. 2 to go in the stage. How aggressive can you be on the push if you are Jacob Gibson?
Can go 3 wide.
Oh, look at this. Patton, and that is getting turned. They're going to save it for the most part. McRoberts. Oh, and there we go. And on the final lap of the stage, Riley Tilton and Billy Bumgarner, last week's race winner, with big-time damage. And that is going to bring this stage to a close with Rob Haynes at the front of the field. A couple other drivers slow getting away there from the scene of the accident. But
Matt Rodoloso, he might be done as well.
yeah, big problems. We'll back this up, take a look at it from the chopper cam. So it starts in front of him, and that was, I believe, McRoberts that got loose to begin it anyway, or to kick that whole thing off. No, it was not. It's, oh, Lord. So many new paint schemes.
Sisler.
Oh, that is Matt Sisler, and I think he changed up his scheme from last week. All right, so we found it now. He gets help from Charlie Widener. There's McRoberts. Oh, and McRoberts getting turned was off of the 5's front bumper there, Billy Bumgarner. This is from the cockpit of last week's race winner. McRoberts came down in front of him. Tilton came up to flank him there on the left side. Yeah, like you said, big damage for Matt Rodoloso. Bumgarner and Tilton may be okay. Maybe the 49 got the worst of that exchange. But either way, most of the field is down pit road. Some drivers, if I'm not mistaken, have stayed out. Kyle Kabash? Kabash? I can't remember. Kyle, you'll have to let us know. Speaking of Kyles, there's Kyle Manos as well. Your reigning series champion who did not get much airtime last week, Greg Mullins, stayed out. Will Kirk and Rob Haynes are out on the track still. Justin Michael will win the race off of pit road and line up P6. Very interesting. Haynes looks like he is, in fact, coming down this time, and this is a new addition to Atlanta Motor Speedway on the sim. Of course, in real life, they've had this pit lane for a couple of years now, but this is a brand new addition, and this is a requirement. You have to enter under yellow and under green from turn number 3 now.
Yeah, that's definitely going to make a big difference if we get a green flag pit cycle. It really slows you down even that much more if you have to pit.
Most leagues, Lord willing, if they ever did have green flag pit stops, Usually got one race in on this configuration and said, "Oh yeah, we'll pit from 3. We're not going to do that again." Venom did it. Max V did it. It was a disaster every time. So iRacing making it official and putting that NASCAR pit lane extension on there was the right way to go. But that is Rob Haynes coming down here on the 1 to go. And that will give control of the field now to Will Kirk. Greg Wall, Kyle K-Bash, and Kyle Manos will be on row number 2.
Justin Michael and Scott Patton both getting to pit there and being inside the top 10, I think is going to be a big play for them in the long run.
Certainly very well could be. Michael and Patton, of course, they're accomplished racers in every single aspect of truck racing, but especially on the super speedways, they don't get their flowers. Scott Patton as well, because he doesn't have a super speedway victory, but he's always in the mix. He's been on the short end of the stick of multiple photo finishes. Justin Michael had been as well before he finally got a win last summer in Daytona. So we'll see what they could do, bridging the gap from old tires to new tires. As Will Kirk, in control of the field, brings us back to the green. And a sluggish start there from row 2. As Kirk is off and running, so is Greg Mullen. Look at this. Justin Michael with a head of steam. Goes from the bottom up to the top, looking to get around his teammate. Chris Howell will follow him. Justin Michael has it at the line, but can he get clear, or does he want to? Great restart for Justin Michael. Scott Patton kind of still mired back in traffic, 4th on the bottom here.
We're pretty spread out on this restart. Maybe drivers are starting to look towards the end of the race now instead of that beginning stage.
Well, it's kind of funny to try and plan ahead in a race like this, because if you don't, you're going to get caught out.
Yeah, definitely. Series like Venom Truck Series, stage break is right at halfway, so you can usually plan a little bit further ahead, as Will Kirk is going to be sucked back 3 wide.
Yeah, speaking of getting caught out, the 9 is going backwards here in a hurry. So is Kyle K-Bash there in the 2 truck. And they'll find their way together. As it's now Greg Mull and Justin Michael side by side of the super speedway like it should be. Mark Jackson continuing to find his way to the front of the field here on the super speedways. 17 is quickly becoming a feared number here in the pack races. He's very, very good, or proven to be very handy. How about James Lehman creeping up into the pack here as well? Bandit Racing already showing out. Saw a little smoke there. That's Ron Mitten down on the bottom of the track, headed to pit road. Ball is now clear, and he will move up to Justin Michael. So that clears the bottom now for the 17 of Mark Jackson with help from James Lehman. Third in line, I believe, is Kyle Meadows. But banded all together here on this top side. Meadows separated from his teammate Jacob Gibson, who he's about to run side by side with.
Will Kirkin at 9. He's one of the drivers that did not pit.
Do you like that call?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I don't have enough experience on this track to know what tire wear looks like, and I haven't done much racing on 70% fuel either. So I know that fuel window is coming up here in the next couple laps, though.
Well, that's the thing, too, is that official races were here this week, but a lot of these drivers is, wow, that was a bold move further back. I think that was Connell Bolton, as there's one up in the wall, and it's Kyle Kabash, and they're going to pile up around him. Riley Tilton was one of the drivers involved there, and the caution is back out as they continue to spin every which way. Brandon Groover down the track, podium finisher from last week, and that is caution number 3. So there's the 2. Go ahead.
That is exactly what Will Kirk needed.
And this all starts with the move up top, kind of getting everybody checked up and cajoled. That was Connell Bolton. He's going to make that move in the quad oval from the bottom to the top. And he gets loose. I don't think Kyle is expecting that. And looks like he's just going to drift straight. I mean, that thing went dead stick into the wall. After that, there's nowhere for Brandon Groover to go. Bill Paradise, the people's champ, with a great move to get out of the line of fire there. Riley Tilton hit from behind from Michael Whitlock. So that is another one where Tilton is going to get hit, but it's not race-ending damage. Certainly, though, the spoiler on that truck has seen better days. And Groover with similar damage, K-Bash with similar damage as well. And to your point, Will Kirk and quite a few other drivers are on pit road. Mark Jackson, who was battling for the lead at the time of the caution, is down pit road. Of course, Riley Tilton is down with damage. Bill Paradise is in, and a lot of other drivers who have been involved in at least one accident thus far are down pit road. Looks like we've got 28 drivers that are on the lead lap. We'll see how that changes once we figure out who has maybe got more serious damage. And hello to anybody that's watching. I know we've had a few people pipe up already. But if you're new here, let us know who you're rooting for. We'll try and get them some TV time. If you're not new here, then still say hello and let us know who you want to see. It's, I mean, I feel like pretty much everybody's gotten a call here tonight, save for maybe a few drivers. This is one of the races where maybe in this part of the night you don't want your name to get called out because it's usually not good.
Yeah, definitely. If you aren't in the front and your name's getting called a couple times, it might not be for the best.
I'm sure that's how Riley Tilton is feeling up to this point, and he usually races with the broadcast on, so sorry to the 58 crew. But if James Lehman and Billy Baumgartner proved anything from last week, it's that you could still be involved in multiple accidents throughout the night, or even just flip over and still get a good finish, or even get a win. So we'll see if this 58 truck is good to keep digging. Looks like we are going to stay with 28 drivers on the lead lap. Looks like we've got 30. Make that only one more. Rob Haynes that are still running it all. A reminder of some things coming up. We got the Special Stage Pro Truck Series from the short layout of Crandon tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. And shout out to Robin. And a happy birthday. You mentioned that to me earlier, and I forgot. Happy birthday tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be enjoying some racing elsewhere. It's still a good birthday. Not going to be on the tracks for the Jumpy Trucks tomorrow, but you'll be doing what I think I'd rather be doing on a Friday night anyway, so that's all good.
Good old dirt sprint racing.
Absolutely. Amen to that. Back in our way.
Greg Mall going to get a great jump on that restart and pull down in front of James Lehman for the lead. And Lehman going to fall in line.
Boy, he tried to, but he is tucked up right behind that 7 truck, and Justin Michael found his way to the bottom. The help is coming to this 87. That's Manos.
Manos going to put it 3 wide.
Oh, Manos.
Ooh, he backed out.
Yeah.
I think that was a smart call.
That was a little close for comfort there, but now he is hooked up with his teammate Jacob Gibson there on the bottom of the track. Hello to Chris Voiles in the chat. Hello to Big W Racing cheering on Chris Sargent. Sargent right now running in the top 15 here in the 66 truck. There he is on the bottom of the track, just biding his time. Got plenty of time left. Lap 42 of 98 here this evening. That puts us at 150-ish miles. If you wonder why 98 in particular. The extra .04 on top of the mile and a half always makes the race distances weird here. If you're staying tried and true like Max V always does. Michael right on his teammate's door. Trying to side draft. Lots of Bandit boys up front. Maul, Lehman, Michael, Howell, Patton. With Manos and Gibson trying to play spoiler here in the middle. Hard to make good passes here. Hard to transfer energy without just transferring that energy into the outside wall.
Yeah, unlike a regular super speedway, if you go to move, say, from the bottom to the top, sometimes this truck just wants to keep going.
Check in on these drivers. Again, they've got fairly fresh tires, but they are unsteady. Big check up there on the top side. I mean, that is throttle feather. Riding on board with Connell Bolton here in the 32 truck. Behind Scott Patton.
But it's starting to get spread out a little bit.
I think some of these drivers will be all right with that. A little space to operate in, a little space to breathe. Hello to Donald hanging out with us. Hello to Sarah. Riley's been had an interesting night thus far, but not out of it yet.
Inside of this top 10 as well, being pushed by Brad Slagle.
Haven't talked much about Heath Smith here tonight. The old gray goose there. Is it the gray duck, I guess, since it's Oregon? Lehman and Maul continuing to run side by side here at the front.
Pretty steady racing. Further we get on these tires, it looks like that outside line is starting to take a little bit wider line for the front, kind of leaning towards the top rather than the middle.
I would imagine every line has its pros and cons as this race rolls along. Certainly, if that outside line continues to widen out, like you mentioned, towards the end of this race, when those drivers want to get a third line going, it's you're not going to have much room to pull it off in. Michael already drifted up the track, pulling right up to the driver doors of his teammates. There's one up in the wall. A little bit further back in this pack. Some of our fresh tire drivers stuck towards the back of this pack. Mark Jackson, we've been calling out his name a lot tonight. He is right now riding back in 15th. You think that's by choice, or do you think that's just the lay of the land right now? You can't really move forward.
I think the way this pack is organized, it's just the lay of the land. It looks like we're just kind of making laps at the moment. Trying not to get too jumbled up here to pull out another caution, another incident.
Well, we were 3 wide there coming down to turn number 2 for just a second. Certainly Kyle Manos and Jacob Gibson are trying to make things happen. They may realize that they're outgunned currently, with Bandit Motorsports controlling most of the top 5 and over half of the top 10. Connell Bolton giving the 19 the business there.
Like you had mentioned earlier, with Venom and ICR, it really can make a huge difference to be able to control this field.
Gibson running nearly a full lane up off the bottom. He's sort of plugging the hole in the middle. We have seen a couple drivers try and shoot that gap. But certainly protecting the space, or his literal track positioning. Very interesting way.
Yeah, I think him jumping out of line through the corners is definitely affecting the arrow of this bottom line as Lehman barely clears for the lead.
Yeah, that was a little close. See the wiggle there out of the back of the 50 as he gone off the front bumper of Greg Mall.
That's going to give Christopher Howell the lead of this outside line. Bring Scott Patton with him.
Howell, Patton, and Connell Bolton now the top 3 drivers in this top line. It moves the 87 or Justin Michael back to 3rd on the inside. That's Greg Mall now in 2nd. And Lehman, the race leader, outright for now, as Howell, 2 times a race winner in the closing stretch of 2024. Looking to get back on the board here early at 55 of 98. They are really tight together there on that top side, or at least they were down the back stretch. A lot more space here on the bottom.
Riley Tilton now looking at the top 10.
Wow, what a drive back through the field for the 58 truck.
Yeah, definitely don't count him out here.
No.
Ooh, Bolton shoots to the inside.
And Connell Bolton's dad is in the chat now. Hello, welcome. Jennifer cheering on Zachary Groover. He's had an interesting night here already. But he, like Riley Tilton, who's been in multiple accidents here, also charging into the top 10. So Groover not down or out. Lehman working both lanes here, and now Greg Mall is going to leave him, at least temporarily. Lehman, a blocking machine, calling James Keselowski. And still Jacob Gibson kind of working this middle as that was Zachary Groover with a touch to the wall. And good reactions by the drivers around him as now Scott Patton bullies his way down under the inside line in front of the 11 of Manos. Here's Charlie Widener. Where did he come from? He's in the mix now. As Mall will swoop down low in front of Lehman now to regain the lead outright. Now it's Widener leaving the top, or leading the top rather.
Yeah, Howell has just dove down underneath James Lehman. wondering, we're looking here about 32 laps on this stint. Probably drivers getting ready to be in position to pit off the backstretch pretty soon in the next few laps. Widener and Gibson have a lot of energy with this four-truck top line here. Making up good ground on the lead.
Charging Charlie. One of the great turn 200 moments of all time is here we go. Into pit lane we go.
Lehman is very close to the outside white line. Now, pit road speed doesn't start until we get to that orange cone, so they can still race through 3 and 4.
Lehman nearly spinning it out there, trying to get aggressive. Hit the nail right on the head.
Charlie Widener will inherit the lead of this race.
I don't know that we've ever gotten a full green flag pit cycle here in any series at the new version of Atlanta Motor Speedway. No takers this time. Now, this is the usual Bandit Motorsports play. On the bigger super speedways, they pit as early as they feasibly can and try to work together to pull away from everybody else. And to their credit right now, this front pack is still side by side, not helping their case very much. But I wonder how much that strategy works at a track like Atlanta versus Daytona and Talladega.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I know that your typical super speedway, it definitely does wonders if you can get linked up in a single file line. But, you know, here's a lot more dependent on tires as well, so it can make a difference.
Kyle Manos just pit without his teammate. Jacob Gibson is still in this front pack in second. And he pits all by himself as well. See if we get any takers this time. Doesn't look like it. So this front pack has 14 people in it. Back to Michael Van. Bobby Sales is yet to pit from 15th. And everybody else has been down pit road. Your holdouts there on the outside line, that is the 41 of Zachary Groover, leading the charge. And I believe that's the 199 of Rob Haynes, if I'm not mistaken, that's pushing him, and Rob is a lap down. Brad Slagle up there as well. So Rob, the pole sitter, led a lot of laps here early, got himself trapped a lap down. I'm sure he'll be hoping for a caution. Because he's another driver in the Bandit stable that does really well in the super speedways.
Scott Patton has just turned the fastest lap of the race.
Wow.
So they definitely had a good head of steam coming out of the pits these first couple laps.
And he is fourth in line. Billy Baumgartner has latched onto this group. Will Kirk is there as well. But outside of that, it's all Bandit. All day as well. Riley Tilton nearly getting turned for what would be, I think, the third time tonight. But a great save. Here comes Charlie. Here comes Riley. A couple others. Keith Smith. Going as fast as they possibly can. That's Jack Watts behind. Watts and Billy Baumgartner both running the HendrickCars.com truck. That's a little confusing. But Charlie and Connell Bolton racing side by side into pit road. They will give up the top few positions. Matt Sisler, the other driver in this equation, in the 93.
Looks like we're going to get a couple more this time.
Here is the race leader, Jacob Gibson. Rob Haynes, 1 lap down. Brandon Groover, Zachary Groover. And Bobby Sales going to come in as well. So that leaves... go ahead.
That's going to give Slagle the lead with Mark Jackson to his outside. Mark Jackson on about 10-lap pressure tires.
So Jackson was one of a handful of drivers to come in under this most recent caution, as teammates Slagle and McRoberts are in. So that leaves us with 3. Jackson, Paradise, and Van. I believe they were all in under this most recent caution. The drivers around them, that is the 2 of Kyle Kabash and the 11 of Kyle Manos, who pit by himself. So that's the good news for these lead 3. The bad news is they're not formed up at all. They're not going to be ripping very good lap times here. As Bill Paradise is going for the lead. The People's Champ going to lead a lap. Why not?
Still was a good feeling.
Yeah, it always is. We'll see how good he feels on the back end of it. But for now, 5.56 to P1. And now Mark Jackson is going to try and take that right back. Well, these two not doing themselves any favors. So tentatively, your race leader will be Greg Mall, and we'll see how big this lead pack is. And I'm afraid it's not very big. Mall, Michael, Patton, Lehman, and Howell. Those are the only drivers that are attached, so the usual Bandit Motorsports strategy has worked here at Atlanta. There are a couple of stragglers around them, but those are drivers that are not on the lead lap. I believe that's Trent Drum in the 14 truck, who has latched onto this group. Johnny Hamby with damage. Boy, that truck is breathing heavy, trying to keep up with those leaders. I think Will Kirk was in that mix as well.
Yeah, Will Kirk is sitting 3 laps down at the moment.
Man.
But that being said, even lap trucks linked up with this lead pack can really make a difference.
It certainly can. $23 laps to go, and it looks like it's going to be a bandit shootout. What they were hoping they could see last week at Daytona, what I would argue is the more predictable of the super speedway tracks. They come here instead to the most unpredictable and are absolutely having a field day. They've led as a team, as a stable, they've led over half of the laps here tonight, as now here come Paradise and Van, but not Mark Jackson. Jackson out by himself on his own little island, 35 seconds ahead of Greg Mall. Well, kind of.
Charlie Widener is leading this second pack here. And they're looking to be about 0.2 a lap faster than that Bandit Motorsports lead pack.
They do have some time to make up, though. By my timing and scoring shows them 5 seconds behind Christopher Howell up the road. But you're right, they are faster. That's Widener, Bolton, Smith, Tilton, Gibson, and Sisler. The drivers 7th through 12th, with some lappers in there as well.
A few lappers in between these two packs. Last week's winner, Bumgardner, is one of those. And Johnny Hamby.
Very interesting here because you're going to see Greg Mall in second, going around the race leader Mark Jackson But this is not a pass for the lead. This is to get back on the lead lap. Mark Jackson literally was on his own lap.
All by
Until now.
himself.
Now, you talk about leading a lap. How about being the only driver on the leader? That's got to be a great feeling, if only for a couple laps.
Patton into the outside wall.
Kicking up a little dust, and boy, that cost him a ton of time there. James Lehman's going to get through. As there goes Mark Jackson into pit road. So Maul next time around will inherit the race lead. And everybody that's trapped a lap down can breathe a little bit easier, and some of these drivers further back still in the lead lap can hope to see some yellow laundry here now with 20 to go. Third driver in line there is the 11 of Kyle Manos, 1 lap down. So it's Lehman in third, Patton in fourth, Howell in fifth. And 2 more drivers latched on to the end of this group as well. That's Bobby Sales and Trent Drum. So that is your lead pack of about 8.
Charlie Widener going to pull up to 6th now. Looks like they've picked up about a second on this lead pack.
I think you're right. It's about 5.5 seconds when you pointed it out earlier. Now it's right down to just a little bit over 4.
Yeah, they're definitely making good ground here. Still turning about 2 to 3 tenths faster per lap.
And that may not seem very hopeful. You can try and whittle it down, but then you'll only get to maybe about 2 seconds by the end of the race. But that's the good news. So once you get to about 2 seconds, the draft starts to kick in, and you'll make up time hand over fist.
Yeah, you can make up 2 seconds on a super speedway in about a lap. It's really surprising how fast these trucks can pull up to the truck in front with the draft.
Those little blips there in front of Charlie Widener, that is what he is chasing, trying to bridge his way up to this lead pack. And that 3.5 second gap now up to Christopher Howell, that doesn't take into account Trent Drum and Bobby Sales. You know, they'll still get a draft off of them as well, and that is just a little bit more reassurance that maybe this second group can start to catch up. Once that happens, we'll have about a 12-car scrum for the race win here at Atlanta, as long as they can keep this pace up. You can see them there all in the same shot. Different halves of the backstretch, but that gap is still being closed. 3.25 seconds as Michael and Maul are all over themselves, tripping themselves up, trying to hang on to this truck and push hard at the same time.
The more slipping and sliding you do, the closer that gap gets. And that second pack is on about 5 to 6 lap fresher tires, and I think that's going to make a huge difference when we get into these last few laps.
I'm right there with you, partner. Just looking at these drivers struggling for grip. Knowing how hard they're pushing. Both packs are pushing hard, but it pays to have the fresher rubber here. That's when it pays to start treating this race more like a 1.5 miles and less like a super speedway race. It's stalled out a little bit, but it's still hovering right around 3 seconds. Tantalizingly close to being able to latch on to the group in front. 13 to go. Greg Mull in a familiar position, leading late at the pack race. Justin Michael in a very familiar position, running in second in the pack race in the closing laps. Lehman, Patton, Howell, the top 5. And now, all of a sudden, the tide is turned, and the front group is pulling away from this second group. Gap is up back to 3.5 seconds.
Yeah, I think as this lead group picks up a couple of lap trucks there in front of them, that's going to make all the difference.
Well, Bolton and Widener are certainly trying their best. Bolton is pushing that 95 for all it can handle. The gap's still increasing. 3.7 seconds now.
As fast as this gap has picked up, I'm curious if that lead group was even tire saving.
Very possible.
And that definitely leans more towards your mile-and-a-half strategy than super speedway.
One up in the wall. That's Bill Paradise. And this is Billy Bumgarner now in this lead pack here, as well as Paradise, Trent Drum, Bobby Sales, Kyle Manos, several lap drivers. Going to help the energy and the momentum of this lead 5. And that gap still right around 3 3/4 of a second. Time is running out here for the drivers from 6th on back.
Yeah, we see this lead group is starting to string out a little bit. Can't help but think that that's just the tire wear. You can't stay quite as close without these trucks pushing up the hill.
Gap is 4 seconds now. So we may turn our attention fully to this front 5. They're all teammates, but they will all race each other into the ground for a race win. Especially to be the first banded driver on the board for the season. That's some bragging rights.
Justin Michael really loose off the 4.
James Lehman going to go to the outside. He and Michael going to be side by side. Lehman, I'm sure hoping that he didn't just get hung out there. He's got Mark Jackson coming up behind him, and Mark Jackson has proven himself to be quite handy. But he's trapped a lap down.
Lehman's going to slot back in line in front of Patton.
So Jackson going to get hung back out. Ball up to block the 87. 6 to go. Lehman, oh boy. Just barely got cleared by Justin Michael there.
Lehman's now looking to the inside of Justin Michael. And he's got to run.
Why stop with Michael? He's underneath Greg Mall now. Looking for the race lead with no help behind. All the other top 5 are there on the top side together, trying to ditch this 50 truck.
Patton's going to fall in line with Lehman. Maybe a push is all he needs.
Got to create your opportunities, even if that is creating opportunities for somebody else. If he could push Lehman clear, he may have some options. Howell now. Which way will he go? To the top, to the bottom. 4 to go. 6th on back, not a factor. It's still the top 5, even as they go side by side.
We are stuck 2 by 2 by 1.
Howell may really be the difference maker here, especially if he decides to shoot it up the middle at some point. The lap trucks could come into play here as well. Will Paradise plugging a hole there on the bottom that would cover off maybe a lane that the 88 of Christopher Howell wants to use. Lehman and Mall side by side for the lead with helm from Patton on the bottom and Michael on the top. 2 laps to go.
Justin Michael looking up to get some air. Maybe cool that truck off some.
They just want to see this white flag. They'd also like to see the checkers, but you got to get to the white first. One more lap to go. Lehman has it at the line by a whisker. Who makes the move further back? Bill Paradise not a factor for the win. Christopher Howell up top in the 88 is. Crash somewhere else on the track. Brad Slagle in the second pack. But we're side by side for the race win. Lehman on the bottom. Mall on the top side. Drag race to the line. And it's going to be Greg Mall. Greg Mall, 4/100ths of a second. And he will be on the board for Bandit Motorsports in season number 2. The reigning champ is back on top.
Justin Michael pulled out all the stops for that last little push at the line.
Charlie Widener led that second group, finishing in 6th. We have a couple things to look at here on the final lap, but not before we let this man burn it down. Greg Mall, career victory number 5 post-revival with the MaxV CNC Home Designs Truck Series. His second on a super speedway after the 2023 race victory at Daytona. Nicely done here tonight for Greg Mall. And nicely done by Bandit as well. After so many times of trying in multiple different series to pull that super speedway strategy off on the pit stalls, of all the places for it to work the first time, this was not the one I was expecting, but they did it masterfully here. They will snag the top 5 all for themselves. Let's go ahead and take a look at something that happened to Brad Slagle and others here on the final lap. Is wow! Fully upside down and into the catch fence goes the 052. What a hellacious way to break into that replay. Let's back up. That is his teammate Ryan McRoberts, who will get underneath of him and get the air upset on that 052. He right rear hooks his teammate into the wall, and upside down into the catch fence he goes. Drivers with damage. Multiple drivers with damage there. And we will take a look at this finish here in slow motion. Barney the Flagman going crazy, waving that checkers. Oh boy, why did that go that fast? Good Lord. Yeah, we got to get a little bit better here on these replays. We'll get there eventually.
Practice.
There we go. That's a good look at it. We've had closer finishes in Max V here before, but still 4/100ths of a second. Pretty damn tight after 150 miles here tonight. Congrats to your race winner here tonight. Your reigning series champion is Greg Mall. We'll talk to him here in just a second as a race winner for the 5th time in the Max V CNC Home Designs Truck Series. James Lehman will be your runner-up here tonight, and Justin Michael in 3rd. We'll talk to all 3 of these gentlemen here in just a second. Fourth place tonight to Scott Patton, fifth to Christopher Howell. Then the second pack behind them, Charlie Widener in P6, Heath Smith in seventh, Matt Sisler in eighth, Connell Bolton and Riley Tilton will round out your top 10. Jacob Gibson in P11. 12th for Jack Watts, it's Chris Sargent tonight in 13th. Zachary Groover 14, Brandon Groover 15, Bill Paradise in P16. 17th for Kyle Manos, it is 18th for Bobby Sales, 19th for Trent Drum and Rob Haynes running 20th. Michael Van in 21st, Ryan McRoberts in 22nd, Mark Jackson in 23rd, and Brad Slagle will be the first DNF here tonight in the 24th position. 25th for Billy Bumgarner, Michael Whitlock in 26th, Kyle Kabash in 27th, then Johnny Hamby 28th, Will Kirk in 29th, Rod Mitten, I think we are DNFs from here on out. Mitten in 30th, Mike Milfelt in 31st, Matt Rodolasso in 32nd, Kerry Cleaver will finish in the 33rd position. 34th for Jordan Neese, Cody Gibson 35th, Matthew Montalban, and Waldy Terheimer, the rest of your finishers here this evening. Alrighty, we'll go ahead and bring up your third place finisher here. We talked to him just Monday night. But good to have Justin Michael back up in booth 200 as always, partner. Welcome back up, and a pretty exciting race here tonight, to say the least. But well done on podium.
Yeah, it was a what do you call it? A white knuckle. My fingers hurt from the death grip in that wheel.
I mean, those trucks looked pretty not happy to be racing here tonight. I mean, we've raced here in the past a couple of times with Max Feeve before, but some updates to the track made this a lot more of a dynamic evening than the last couple times.
It did. I like the changes they made to pit road and made it more interesting. And I know, I guess not a lot of people practice it, so it really helped us out because all of us were, during practice we were doing a lot of pit stops, just testing out how far we could throw it in there into three. And I think we even took it a little bit easy when we did pit, but we'll take third. It's a lot better than last week, that's for sure. And we got a lot more races coming up. Tracks we're good at, tracks that aren't super speedways like this. So maybe we can finally crank out some W's.
Joshua, what you got?
Yeah, Justin Michael, congrats on the third. As you're coming, to the white and to the finish here as the second truck in line. Are you looking to push Greg Mall all the way across the line for the win? Or are you hoping to get an opportunity to get around him and possibly see the win yourself?
Well, I mean, we finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so I didn't want to wreck by trying to pass him 3 wide. We were all pretty unstable with the way the rears were just hot and slick. So, and Greg's a good friend, so I gotta push him to the win when I can. And he pushed me at Daytona last year, so got to give him a little payback on that and push him to the win. So maybe next time we'll get him, but I'm glad he got a win.
And I'm sure, I mean, I don't know how many super speedway races we've seen the Max V crew and the Bandit Motorsports crew pull that strategy to pit early and get yourself separated from the field. I feel like tonight is the first time that it actually worked because it's come so close to working so many times, and we finally get to see it all the way through here of all places. I mean, that's got to be satisfying to just get that one in the record book at least.
Yeah, finally, it does work out for us. I didn't think it was when we pitted, and we were I didn't think we were going to be that much faster than everybody on new tires. We were about a second and a half faster every lap, and then when they pitted, they were coming out of the pits just as we passed them on the track, and I started watching the lap times, and they were faster for a while, and they started gaining on us, and I'm like, crap, we're toast. We're not going to be able to hold these guys off, and I don't know what happened. Maybe they got disorganized. I don't know. I'll go back and watch it, but for whatever reason, with about 7, 8 to go, it kind of stabilized, and we were able to stay way up ahead of them. And then we got side by side, and of course they're going to gain on us then, but we were too far ahead at that point.
Well, great stuff as always. Congrats on the podium here, and let's get some shout-outs before we let you go.
Yeah, just everybody out there watching. Hopefully that was a good race for you guys. I know it was fun with us racing. You guys calling a great race as always. Scott out there for painting this awesome truck at Patented Paints, but he's got the flu right now, so he was racing a little under the weather. I was surprised he showed up and ran as good as he did. So So, props to him for that and all the Bandit guys out there. Greg for winning the race. He better give a big shout out to me, I hope. So if he doesn't, y'all tell me and I'll yell at him. So that's all. I appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely, partner. Thanks for the time. We'll hopefully talk to you again in Vegas.
Thank you.
Well, he was having some technical difficulties earlier tonight, but let's see if we can get a word in with Mr. James Lehman, who will come runner-up here tonight after a top 10 run at Daytona last week. You may be one of the only drivers here towards the front of the field that actually strung together 2 decent races to open the season. So how about it?
Yeah, I hope my mic's working this time, but
so far so good.
Yeah, it was a good race. Wasn't too bad. A couple cautions in the beginning, but once everything kind of evened itself out, it turned out to be a pretty good race.
I mean, not going to be a surprise for anybody that's seen you race here on the channel before. But after the top 5 breakaway there, you were the one that was making the moves to try and get yourself onto or at the front of the heap amongst all your teammates there, making the aggressive moves, trying to get yourself up to the top, getting the room down there on the bottom. I mean, you obviously decided it was go time a lot earlier than the drivers all around you.
Oh yeah, it's always great racing my teammates and stuff, but I was like, all right, I'm tired of running single file, and like we got a 4-second lead over the next group. I was like, let's get side by side, let's make it fun, So it's always fun.
Joshua, what you got?
Yeah, congrats again on the second joining us up here once more. As you take second place here and combined with your finish from last week, that's got to put you in a pretty good feeling position as we move into the early stages of the points here.
Oh yeah, for sure. I already went ahead and uploaded the points. I'm not going to spill it. I'll wait for you guys to do that on your end. So it actually come to a shock on who's still on the top. So I think for everybody, we're all going to be kind of surprised that this person's on top of the points right now. So, but yeah, it's definitely going to put me in a good spot, a very, very good spot. And I'm looking forward to next week in Las Vegas for sure.
Absolutely. Great stuff here tonight. Let's get some shout-outs before we let you go.
Thank you to you guys, man. You guys always put on a great broadcast. Looking forward to watching it again later this week. And then thank you to everybody that showed up tonight for the Max V Atlanta. I look back at the record over the last 3 seasons. This has been the highest participant for drivers per race. So 37 is a new record. So yeah, that's about it. And looking forward to next week.
Absolutely, partner. Great stuff here tonight. Go celebrate. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you.
The man who's definitely celebrating here tonight. Last week was not the week that your reigning champ was looking forward to, but the champ, Greg Mall, is back on top here tonight. Win number 5 with the Max V CNC Home Designs Truck Series, and it comes here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Welcome back to Booth 200, partner. It's been too long.
Yeah, it's been a minute, Tommy, but appreciate you guys. Yeah, it was definitely an interesting race. Wasn't sure what to really expect. I mean, coming out to Atlanta, you just got to expect that tire wear is going to be a challenge, and no surprise tonight with some unstable trucks, and just trying to keep her under control and keep some speed in it late in the run there towards the end, and had enough to bring it home. So.
I mean, you had your work cut out for you, not only trying to keep this truck underneath you early in this one, but, I mean, you started pretty deep in this field as well. We didn't call out your name all that much until around the stage break there. I mean, what was the early portion of your race like? Was it survival? Was it trying to gain as much track position as possible, or some combination of the two?
It was definitely some survival there early. Wasn't really sure, with what practice most of the field really did turn. Just wasn't really sure what to expect, so I just went with the gut feeling that having a hot slick track like Atlanta normally does from years past, just figured it was going to give people a test tonight, and sure enough it did. So dodged a few pretty big wrecks there during the first third to halfway point in the race. It was just able to take the track position that was given to us after all those were out the way, and just able to hold on to it. So,
and the ultimate bad news for the field is if you have the early cautions and the big wrecks and wad up several trucks, and the Bandit Motorsports crew is not at least taken out in part. Most of the crew stayed together here tonight. And once you get to a green flag pit cycle, everybody should know by this point, Bandit is going to take control. And it just so happens that you were at the front of the line once it all got sorted out.
Yeah, it was definitely something that we were kind of talking about during practice anyways. It's just an area that we can just gain a lot of time on, especially at these big tracks, and put some practice and preparation going into it. And, yeah, was just able to capitalize on it and have ourselves a pretty decent cushion to the rest of the field there. I can't remember. I think we were seeing the second pack was right around 4 or 5 seconds, something like that. And they were starting to close us back in a little bit, about 10, 15 laps to go, something like that. And just noticed it start to kind of stagnate out. And we were just able to kind of keep it right around that same gap until the checkered flag flew. So, yeah, it was good to see. Good to see that we were still able to hold some decent momentum in these trucks, even as deep into the run as we were, and was just a heck of a fight with James there at the end to wrap it all up there at the end.
Joshua, what you got for the race winner?
Yeah, congrats on the win. You had the lead, control of the field for about the last 25 or 30 laps. On a super speedway style track, what can you do as that lead truck, if anything, or is it all dependent on that push truck behind you?
Gosh, I think a lot of it just has to come to just this track being an interesting mutant of a super speedway, if you want to call it that. I'm not sure what to really think of Atlanta nowadays, but it's definitely it has that pack mentality of a super speedway. But it's just I feel like this place, you just have to maintain your equipment a lot better compared to Daytona or Talladega. I mean, there's still some similar strategies you could put into this track, but I just feel like the line that's going to have the most momentum is definitely going to be the key thing to try and keep our eye out, and I think we were able to do a pretty good job of that tonight. So,
yeah, hard to argue with the result. Getting back on the board here for the first time early in season number 1 of 2025. What are the expectations for the season? I know you want to win. You got that out of the way. What's next?
Just keep hunting for flags here, Tommy. I think next 3 tracks. I was just trying to look at the schedule before you guys dragged me up here, but I think we got Vegas, Martinsville. I think is right up there in the mix. So definitely looking forward to that one. Keep the win streak going there, and yeah, I feel like we've got some good momentum. I wasn't sure what to expect for a result tonight. If you would have told me a top 10 coming out of this track tonight, I would have said I'd take it right then and there. I wouldn't have even argued with you. So to get a win coming out of here was definitely not expecting that at all. So definitely a big momentum boost for sure. Coming in some cookie cutters here in the next handful of races. Throw a short track in there at Martinsville. I mean, it's just I got a lot to look forward to coming up here in the near distant future.
We're good to take some momentum into the cookie cutter with you next week at Las Vegas. Congrats on getting back to victory lane. Let's get some shout-outs for you before we let you go.
Well, of course, can't go without saying the guys down at Bandit. Before Justin yells at me for not getting a push from him to the checkered flag there, got to give him a shout-out. You know, him and I have just been whenever one of us does finish up towards the front, I feel like one of us is right there next to him, and just to finish 1-2 or 1-2-3, whatever the case may be. So got to give him a good shout out. He's a good friend of mine, so appreciate him. Of course, the rest of the guys down at Bandits, I think we did a good job. Like I said earlier, just doing some practice, doing some preparation coming into tonight, and was just able to hold on to some awesome track position there till the rest of the race, and did a good job. So good points result for everybody there. Got to give a shout out to all the friends and family that are back home watching on Twitch and all their support. This has definitely been an interesting race. Just talked with you guys earlier. Got a lot to look forward to. Like I said, coming up here the next few weeks. Patented Paints making an awesome shitty number 7 that we bring to the racetrack each week. And you, Tom, and you, Josh, you guys up in turn 200. I mean, love the broadcast. Appreciate all you guys do for us.
Now, we were told to tattle on you if you didn't give a shout out to Justin Michaels, so that's good. You got that one out of the way early as well. But fantastic stuff here tonight. Welcome back to Victory Lane. Go celebrate. Go party hard. Crack a couple of cold ones for us, and we'll talk to you again hopefully next week.
Roger Wilco. On it. Thanks, guys.
And we got a little bit of everything here tonight. Some close super speedway action, some breakaway, a photo finish, handling issues to say the least. Man, what a night here tonight. Do you agree?
Yeah, it was definitely a great race. I was getting a little worried there at the beginning with cautions breeding more cautions, but we got everything straightened out and had a good green flag run, green flag pit cycle, and it really turned out to be a great race.
Anything else you want to say to close up shop here tonight?
Thanks to you again, as always, for putting up with me in and out, on the track and off the track. Really enjoy it. Thanks to everybody who participates in these races and makes it entertaining for us up here in the booth.
Absolutely. There was a lot to love about Atlanta Motor Speedway here tonight. Round number 2 of the season is officially in the books. And thanks to everybody that was hanging out in the chat with us. It picked up there towards the middle of the race. Of course, thank you to the Motichek gang as always. Bailey Marie and Robin hanging out with us. Dina Cole cheering on Wally Turheimer. I wish Wally would have gotten not decimated early in this race. Marilyn Beck and Michelle Kirk cheering on Will, who did not have a great night here tonight, unfortunately. Big W cheering on Chris Sargent. Chris Voiles, hopefully we'll see him back on track next week, but he cheered the Bandit boys into victory here tonight. Shout out to Sarah cheering on Riley Tilton, who rallied back for a top 10. Donald Sadusky cheering on the drivers. And the drivers did pretty well here tonight, I think. Jennifer Burcham cheering on Zachary Groover. And Dave Bolton cheering on Connell. And what James Lehman was alluding to earlier there, Connell Bolton is still the points leader. So a ninth place here tonight and a second last week is good enough with the stage points that he got earlier in the night for him to have a 2-point lead over James Lehman as we head into Las Vegas next week. So thank you to everybody that was hanging out with us here tonight. We got some more racing action coming up tomorrow night. It is the Special Stage Pro Truck Series from Crandon. 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time for that one. Monday night, it is continued coverage of Truck 200. The chase continues in Iowa at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time for that one. Tuesday night, the Venom Truck Series will roll into Michigan for the Leighton River Ellison Memorial. And that one will kick off at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time. That will lead us into next Thursday night's coverage of Las Vegas for round number 3 of the Max V CNC Home Designs Truck Series. We'll hope to catch you back here at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time as usual. Thank you to CNC Home Designs in Central Florida. Contact Gary Cleaver if you need a home built. Appreciate their continued support of Max V Truck Racing here on Thursday nights. Thank you to the admin team of the Maximum Velocity Racing League for putting on the Truck Series. Thank you to all the drivers. And thank you to Joshua Motichek, as always, for sterling color commentary. That's all we got for you here tonight. And until we meet again from Atlanta Motor Speedway, I'm Tommy Cook saying so long. And congrats to the champ, Greg Mall, back on top for the first time in 2025. Have a good night, everybody.
This has been a live broadcast on Turn 200. Be sure to hit subscribe and hit the bell to get notified of when we go live next. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.